and thanks for being here. This is another episode of Six Figure Dog Business Facebook edition. And this is a show that we co-host, or co-stream rather, on Grow Your Dog Business with Ty Brown, as well as on eCollar Technologies page. And so this is a show where every week we talk about your dog training business and things that you can do in order to grow that business, earn more revenue, help more people, serve more clients, have more time, stuff like that. So this is our third episode so far, and thrilled to do it. Just a little bit of protocol. Usually during the episode, we don't do a whole lot of questions. It's more about teaching concepts and stuff like that. But after the episode, we'll often get on. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and, put them in the comments down below. And then we'll get to those questions, that day or in the coming days. Now, at the same time, read the description of this program. We're also giving away a free report on how you can drastically increase your prices, drastically and ethically increase your prices. So, like I say, thrilled to have you here today. We are talking today about what I call my $1 million sales script. So this is the sales script that I use every month to sell over $100,000 worth of dog training. So over $1 million worth of dog training every year, over the phone, without doing evaluations, without even touching the dog, without even seeing the dog, selling over $1 million every year over the phone, with this script that I'm going to share with you today. And I'm going to share the whole script. I'm going to hold nothing back. I'm looking at my notes right now. There's 6 components to this script. This is stuff that I've trained my staff on. I've even trained other businesses on this outside of the dog training industry. In other industries, this is some really good training today. And like I say, these are the 6 parts of my script that I'm going to get into. That allows us to, like I say, sell millions of dollars worth of training over the phone without ever even having to meet the dog. So if that's something that is of interest to you, let's get into it. So 6 things. Number 1 is build rapport. Now, this is super important, obviously. And so I'm talking about doing this over the phone, but this could be the exact same script that you could use when you're doing evaluations in front of people, at their home, at your place of business, whatever. But you need to build rapport. Now, the way I always tell people to do this is to do it for real. There's a lot of times I get this, you might have had this before, but you've got a salesperson trying to sell you something, and they're trying to build rapport using questions that I think somebody wrote down on a piece of paper for them. It's stuff like, hello, sir, the weather is nice today. Or, so, what do you think about the Oakland Athletics? Or, whatever it is, it doesn't sound natural, it doesn't sound real. And so, what are things that you're genuinely interested about other people? So, for example, I'm always interested in where people are from and what people do for a living. You might be very interested in, does your dog come from a breeder, or does your dog come from the shelter, or some, things like that. Whether it's about them or about their dog, you want to build some rapport first, because you want to figure out if they're a client that you want to work with. Not only do they need to figure out the same thing about you, but you need to figure the same thing out about them. Like, if based on your personality, you want to be working with people that are a complete, opposite end of who you are, and you aren't even going to get along? Of course not. So you want to build some rapport. But the other reason that you need to build rapport, not as some skeezy tool here, but you're about to get into some emotional stuff. We're talking about their dog. We're talking about problems that they're having. We're talking about potentially problems that are going on in the home because of what the dog's doing. And so we're going to get into some emotional stuff. And so if they're going to trust you at all, you've got to be able to build at least a small amount of an emotional connection here, right? And like I say, an emotional connection is just simply figuring out about themselves. Maybe you're sitting down, maybe you're on the phone. Cool, awesome, great talking with you. Where's your accent from? You sound like you're from the South. Or hey, thanks for taking time out of your work day. So what do you do for work? Stuff like that. At least that's the type of stuff that I would ask, because I'm really interested in where they're from. And I'm really interested in things that people do for a living. It's just of general interest to me. You know, if I'm at a party, I ask those things to people like, oh, cool, where are you from? What do you do for work? Those things interest me. And so don't try to fake it. If you don't care where they're from or what they do for work, don't ask those questions. If you do care what they think about the sports teams, maybe ask those questions. And maybe they don't care, but at least that tells you something and you can joke about that. Whatever it is, build some rapport in the first few minutes, just so that, you know, this is not like a weird thing that, all right, now that we've built some rapport, let's talk about stuff that's causing you pain and maybe even crying in the middle of the night. You know, you've got to build some of that rapport first. Sound good? Cool. All right, now the second thing we need to do is we need to uncover their pain. Now, when I say we need to uncover their pain, what I mean by that is more than likely they don't have a good grasp of the situation that they're in. And I don't mean to say that our clients are stupid, because they're not. But what our clients are not is they are not experts. If they were experts, they wouldn't be hiring us. And experts can accurately describe a problem, whereas non-experts generally cannot. So, you know, something that I say quite often is, how many times have you sat down in a conversation with somebody and they say something like, oh, you know what, my dog, well, yeah, he's attacked about 4 or 5 other dogs. Whenever kids come over, he tries to bite them. You know, he pulls on the leash. I can't get him to come when called. He'll run off, and I got to get in the car and open the door so that I can trick him inside. What else? Like, yeah, you know, he attacked the mailman the other day, so he's in quarantine for the next 15 days. Yeah, I think I just need some basic obedience. You know, and obviously that's kind of like an extreme example, but it's not that extreme, because I've heard stuff like that, which you probably have too. Somebody's sitting here telling you like these amazingly awful things that have happened, and then they're like, oh, I just need basics. Or, you know, the thing that I get quite often as well is, yeah, my dog's like super aggressive. He tries to attack other dogs, but I really need help because he's jumping. Every time I get home from work, he jumps on me. And so, you know, they don't understand the depth of their problem. And they don't understand the depth of their problem because they're not experts here. And so if you are going to try to match a high-ticket dog training program, which is able to fix big problems, with somebody that is emotionally at a low-ticket spot, they're just like, oh, yeah, all these things are going on, but I think I just need basics. It's not going to work. And not only is it not going to work, you're not going to be able to make the sale, which is not good because, you know, you have a business to run, but you're not going to be able to help them. You're not going to be able to serve this person because this person mentally and emotionally is not in a position they need to be in order to make good decisions about dog training. And they're not there, and it's not a condemnation of them. It's simply they don't know how to explain these things. This is not their realm of expertise. You know, another example I use all the time is if I go into the shop, I know just a tiny bit about cars, enough to be dangerous and make mistakes. If I go into the shop, all I can probably do is describe the sound that it's making and a little bit of how it feels when I'm driving, or, you know, stuff like that. I can't say, hey, it's this manifold thing and I've got a gasket problem over here. If I knew that stuff, I would probably be the guy in my driveway fixing it. But I don't know that stuff. And so I go into the mechanic, and so I can just describe the little stuff. And so I don't know if it needs a new engine or if it needs like a tune-up, you know, just some new spark plugs or whatever. And so I don't know if it's got $200 worth of damage or $2,500 worth of damage. And so mentally, if I go into it saying, oh yeah, like there's barely anything wrong with my car, and the guy comes back and says, hey, it's a $4,000 fix, oh my gosh, like you're not ready for that. And so immediately you're like, let me take it to another shop, see if they can do it cheaper. Let me do this, and this. But if you mentally, if the mechanic were to take you through a small process, helping you realize the problem, helping you understand his expertise or her expertise, and you get to the end and it's like, okay, it's a $4,000 problem, you might be able to make that leap a little bit easier, right? Because somebody like prepped you for that. So that's what we want to do here, is we want to uncover their pain and help them understand the reality of the situation that they're in. And the reality of the situation that they're in is more than likely worse than they thought, not because this is what sells, but simply because they don't know how to describe it. Now, the opposite does happen. You will get people that say, oh my gosh, my dog is the worst ever. He's so awful. And like you dig and you dig and you find like he pulls on the leash and jumps on people. Like, it's not that big, and you got to go the other way. But most of the time, people aren't giving you an accurate representation of the problem with their dog simply because they don't know. And they love their dog so much, they're just kind of focused on the stuff that's bothering them. Yeah, he's kind of jumping on me. I don't like that. Oh yeah, all that other stuff, like he just attacks people every now and then, and I've got a solution there. I just keep him away from that stuff, you know? And so like I say, it's you're not doing your job if you're not helping them realize the depth of the problem and the pain that they should be feeling if they really understood, like, wow, your dog's a liability, or your dog could get hit by a car because of this lack of obedience, or whatever the case might be, right? And there's no need to use scare tactics, but what we do use in this step number 2 in uncovering the pain is just questions. Questions to help them prioritize what are the big problems, because this happens to me a lot. This is one that I see a lot. Somebody's got big problems, but all they're talking about is the dog jumping. Because that's the thing that they deal with every day. Every day the dog's jumping on them, and it's jumping on their family, and it's bothering them. Now, not every day is the dog trying to attack other dogs, but that's obviously a much bigger problem. Not every day is the dog running off leash, but that's obviously a much bigger problem. But they've kind of got like a workaround. They just don't take their dog around that stuff. They don't take their dog off leash. And so in their mind, like, that problem, yeah, it's a problem, but the real thing is the jumping. And so this is where questions can help. Well, okay, I understand that jumping is a big problem. Cool. But let me ask you about this. You mentioned all this growling and lunging. Like, what's that? Oh, and you can't take your dog out on walks as a result, and you can hardly even get him to the vet as a result? Wow, okay. You know, and so you're asking questions here to actually guide them in the direction of helping them understand what the big problems are, rather than focusing on the tiny daily stuff. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense, because if you can uncover their pain and you can help them realize that, look, your problem is not a jumping dog. Your problem is you can't take your dog anywhere because he's too aggressive. Even getting out on a walk is a hard problem, and that's leading to your jumping problem. And as a result, the dog's not happy because he's not able to go anywhere and he's all cramped up all day. You're not able to do the things that you want. You want to camp and hike and fish with this guy, and you can't do it. You would even like to take him to a farmer's market, but you can't go there. You can't even like invite guests over, because if you do, like, the dog's going to try to bite them. You know, and you help them come to a realization of all of this stuff. And now a big ticket dog training problem makes a whole lot more sense than it did just 5 minutes ago when they were saying, I really need to get my dog to stop jumping. That's kind of my big problem here. So like I say, helping them come to a realization of their problems is a big deal. So really what we want to have happen in a situation like this is somebody comes in emotionally, here they are. And we're talking, we're building some rapport, here they are. We start asking questions, and emotionally they start going down, like, oh my gosh, my problem's bigger than I thought. Oh, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel good. Because then we want to bring them back up with what I call our hero program. Our program is the hero. And I've talked about this in other podcasts and other videos and stuff, but you really need to have a signature program that's not based off of X amount of sessions for X amount of dollars, but as a signature program that's based off of how you go about getting results. But anyway, so someone dips down emotionally and you build them back up. Like, oh, hey, you remember how you mentioned that you've got this problem? Well, this part of the program actually fixes this, and here's how that happens. And you know how you had this problem? Well, this part of the program fixes this, and here's how that happens. And so we're building. You know, our roller coaster's going back up. And they're starting to emotionally feel the pressure being taken off. And for dog trainers, pressure release makes a whole lot of sense, right? We put the pressure on to help them realize there's a problem, and you didn't even realize the depth of it. But we take the pressure off to help them realize there is a way out. And the way out happens to be our hero program. And of course, because it's designed to help people just like this. And so, like I say, we start taking them through this process of helping them realize, like, look, this program has this in it, and this is specifically designed to fix this problem that you were talking about. And it has this, and it fixes this problem. So we're linking. And so they're building. And then we get to the point to where, oh, cool, this sounds great. I would love this. What's the cost? We're going to dip them immediately again. And why? Because if you're selling the right way, your prices should be expensive, because you should be offering something that is unique, transformative, and something that they can't get somewhere else. And what do things like that cost? They cost more than the average. And so if somebody's like, dude, this feels great, and you're like, all right, it's $1,700 or $2,700 or $3,500 or something like that, not everybody's gonna dip. I mean, some people have plenty of money and they're used to spending it, and they'll be like, cool, let's get going. But some people are gonna be dipped emotionally by that price. They're gonna hear, oh, I really wanted that thing, but how's this price work? And so our job is then to emotionally bring them back up. And so so like I say, so number one is build some rapport. Number two is uncover some pain through questions. Number three is help them realize how your hero program can solve every issue that they have. Number four is to give them the price and actually what comes in the program, so a little bit of an outline. And then number five, assuming that they've dipped a little bit, is to build them back up. Now, how do you build them back up? There's a number of ways. You can, and I don't have time to get into all of them, but guarantees, some sort of risk reversal, some sort of payment program, some sort of, you can have build up by saying, you want this, you want this, you want this, oh, it's expensive. But because really at the end of the day, expense is not for a lot of people, for a big chunk of people, the big expense is not the problem, because they can come up with the money if they feel it's valuable enough. I mean, think about it. If you don't have $5,000 to your name right now, and somebody said, your kid's kidnapped, we need $5,000 in an hour, you'd find it. You would get it, because it would be so valuable to you that you would do whatever it takes to get that $5,000. Now, training your dog is not as valuable as getting your kid back from kidnappers. For most people, some of our clients it is, and that's a little bit weird. But anyways, for most people it's not. But it's not necessarily the price that's scaring them, it's the what if. And so this is where risk reversal is. Because if they had 100% confidence that they give you $2,000 and their problem is solved, that would happen over and over and over. Sales don't happen typically because of lack of confidence in your solution, not lack of money. Lack of money is a problem sometimes, but more often than not, it's lack of confidence in your solution or a disbelief that your solution's even worth that. So again, if you get to this point where you're giving them price and they're still mentally, like they have no big problems, or mentally they think they don't have any big problems and you're trying to sell them a big solution, it's just not gonna work. Or maybe they legitimately do not have big problems and you need one more program that's just a little bit less, that matches that level. Regardless, some sort of risk reversal is important here. Risk reversal in, hey, there's payment plans, there's guarantees, there's, we're going to address your what if in this way so that we can help you feel more comfortable. And then number six is to ask for the sale. Simply ask for it. So when, hey, the price is this and we're building them up, but, we've got this guarantee and we've got this payment plan. And people are like, okay, cool. It's almost like people at this point need permission. And so this is where you just need to step in and ask for it. Say, like, cool, what do you think? Should we get this guy signed up? As simple as that. You don't need like hardcore sales techniques that were taught in the old school, things like, the assumptive close, like, all right, well, let's get started next Tuesday, or the, what's it called? The alternative close. Well, what do you want to use? Visa or MasterCard? Like, people see through that crap. Don't try to pull that crap. Just ask them. Ask them for permission to get signed up. And maybe it's not right for them, maybe whatever, but whatever the case might be, take them through this process to where when you get here, the only logical and emotional decision that makes sense is, yeah, of course we should use you. And so really the only thing that comes to mind is like, can I make that work mentally, the price that you're charging versus what's, how my life is going to be afterwards. That's really the argument that you have to solve in their mind before you get to that point. And so, like I say, with this type of script, let me go through the 6 parts again. Rapport, uncover pain through questions, present the hero program, present the price and everything that goes with it, build them back up with risk reversal, and number 6, ask for the sale. This script I have been using and refining and honing for years, and like I say, literally sells millions to the point where we can sell over $100,000 a month. Most months like $150,000 worth of training over the phone without even seeing the dog, without even touching the dog, without doing the rigmarole of consultations and stuff like that. Now, consultations are great. I think a lot of people should do them, but you can use this exact same script for whether it's a consultation in person or a consultation over the phone. And in 30 to 45 minutes, be selling anywhere between 50 to 80% of the people you talk with if you're doing it right. If you're doing it right. So hopefully that makes sense. Leave comments down below if you have questions or if this is something that you think you could use some help with. And also make sure, check out the description of this live this live cast. What are these called? Live stream. Of this live stream, because we are giving away a great report on how to drastically increase your income. Check the link inside the description for that, and we'll see you next week.